losing. And in the wake of those rumors come the reports. Ben Golliver, who was an NBA writer, pointed directly at these fines on his podcast and said, if coaches are just willy-nilly not playing guys the entire game and they're not letting people know in advance that they plan to do that, you're going to have a lot of angry gamblers and a lot of angry gambling companies as well. The thing that jumps out to me with that is inside information. Like if you know ahead of time that that's what's going to happen, that the team's going to bench their starters, that they're not going to play anybody in the fourth quarter, that's really valuable information, right? That's not public information, but that's valuable information that you can go ahead and make money on that. Yeah, the Jazz pulling their players was brutal. Absolutely. And they got, James says double the fine. Got $500,000. You want $1 million? It's a lot. But that is a significant storyline as we start the second half of the season as to how we go and where we go with this. And there's a lot of anger. There's a lot of frustration and a lot of anger going on right now in the NBA, around the NBA. And it's popping up in the tanking investigation that is now being put on sportsbooks. Sportsbooks build live betting markets around minute-by-minute data. When a team that has played its normal rotation suddenly empties the bench in crunch, operators argued that repeated patterns from certain clubs make those swings predictable for insiders, but chaotic for the broader market. Correct. And it frustrates fans. But I'm going to say it again. The separation of church and state was way better. When we didn't see this, when books weren't talking directly to the leagues and the leagues weren't in bed with the books, the NBA was better. The NFL was better. Tanking is a problem, but this is making integrity a bigger problem. Now integrity of the NBA is a bigger problem, and they have to answer to it. They can't let it lie. They can't just let it roll. They have to. They must answer it. And so everything's on the table for Adam Silver, including eliminating the NBA draft, saying, okay, fine, you guys want to tank for players? No more NBA draft, which is really, I think, unfortunate. I like the draft. I think it's fun. It's great content for us. We don't want to see it going away. But this was always the fear with legalization. This was always the worry when we legalized sports gambling and the books got involved officially, publicly, with the leagues, that which league was going to be the most reactionary. And what's crazy is that the NBA is largely considered the league that got sports gambling legalized. Adam Silver's op-ed in the New York Times changed a lot of minds. I remember being, I think I was at CES, but I may have been at a different gambling convention here in Vegas when that dropped, when his op-ed came out. And it was like something from the sky falling down. It was unbelievable that somebody as high up in pro sports as Adam Silver would come out and fully endorse the legalization of sports gambling. It was in 2018. It was before the Supreme Court, before we got to the Supreme Court to repeal PASPA. But we had all of this talk going around to all the other leagues. I remember talking to David Stern here in Vegas when he was a keynote speaker about Adam Silver, his replacement, writing that op-ed and how he felt about it. And he wasn't really all that into it. He was kind of just like, I always kind of kept myself away from the gambling companies. I wasn't really interested in being involved with the gambling companies. I just, and look, Brendan saying, I haven't bet on the NBA for over a year because of things like that. There are people who are angry about this, that are saying they don't believe the NBA is being played on the up and up. I think it is, but I don't think the teams care. I mean, frankly, I think the teams are trying to keep themselves either on their own track, coaches trying to keep their own jobs, or doing whatever the owner / GM wants the team to do. I don't think people are thinking about gambling in the game. They probably should be, But I think for every Emmanuel Clase and Luis Ortiz story and Jonte Porter story that's out there, there's 100 other decisions being made that have nothing to do with sports gambling or prediction markets or anything. But the perception is that the NBA has rabbit ears and the NBA is going to react. If I was Adam Silver, I would say to the books, mind your own business. I got myself, this is my league. Don't worry about it. You go worry about what you got to worry about. I'm going to worry about what I'm going to worry about. But that's not what happens when people give you millions of dollars, right? Like, it's the whole thing about, like, who do you get in bed with? You got to be very careful of that. And who are you taking money from? Because if you start taking millions of dollars and signing contracts and start being beholden to different people and companies that have a agenda that may be opposite of what yours should be, well, now you're tied to them financially. Now you've got all sorts of different metrics to hit and different teams and labor problems and situations with the player association. Like, there's all these different things that are coming in to this conversation. So do I think the gambling companies, the big, huge conglomerate ones, are pressuring the NBA? I do. Do I think Adam Silver is listening too much? Yes. Do I think the NBA's got a tanking problem? I do, but I don't think that the solution is listening to the sports books, because I liked it better when they ignored whatever the books cared about. Do what's best for the NBA. Let the books make the decision. If they want to be a part of it, great. At the end of the day, the NBA's got to produce a product that's worth betting on. That's the most important piece. The NBA must produce a product that people are going to want to bet on. And if they're not producing that product, I don't care what book is sponsoring it. I don't care what, a relationship you've got. The books are going to stop being in bed with the NBA. That's a problem for everyone, both the NBA, both the sports books, and the sports bettor. We all want this to continue. We all want to have this symbiotic relationship, and we all are connected in a lot of ways, right? But if we keep on messing this up, if we keep on screwing this up, that's how we go back to pre-PASPA. That's how this goes back to being a Nevada thing. And it's just, in Las Vegas, and that's it. I don't think that will ever happen again. But if you're a state like California, a state like Texas, and you're thinking about legalization and you're looking at this mess and you're going, why would I want to bring this to my state? Like, what do you guys in Ohio, are you in Illinois, in Massachusetts, in New York, are you guys like ecstatic that you went ahead and did this? Okay, are you guys, pumped up that you legalized sports betting in your state? Do you feel like your state's better off today than it was before? Right? That's the question. You've got the two biggest population states in America that are not legal for sports gambling. It will change the industry overnight the second that we see legalization come to California and Texas. But we have to prove that we actually can do it. We got to prove that it's worthwhile for them to be able to do it. And as of right now, this is not good. I mean, you don't want headlines like this, that insiders claiming angry gambling companies are pushing Adam Silver on anti-tanking efforts. That is not what we want to see. That is not what we're looking for here going forward. As we hit the second half of the year, I really hope that Adam Silver finds a better solution than just responding and doing what the books are telling him to, because those headlines are nasty. Where is our guy? I think I know based on the backdrop, but where is Adam Silver? Well, I have no clue where Adam Silver is. I do know where Adam Bjorn is, though. How are you, man? Good to see you. Too many Adams in the world. What's up?
I'm good. Yes, here in the office in Costa Rica this week.
How is the weather? Because it's disgusting in Vegas.
It's been pretty good. I was out actually last night or the night before, and it was almost perfect weather. So, yeah, I can't complain.
We got 2 feet of snow in the mountains over the last 2 days here in Vegas.
Oh.
It's been 40 degrees and windy, and I go to Orlando tomorrow. So, like, I get to go to the 85 degree temperatures of mid Florida tomorrow. So I can't wait to get my heck out of here and enjoy the weather, some of the weather that you're dealing with. I want to start with the game that's going on right now between Team USA and Team Canada. I know it's women's hockey, but Do you guys see much action on this gold medal game today? Was there much interest?
There actually was. When I saw the pre-show notes and come to look at the game. It was significant action. I mean, it was 82% of the money's on the USA, which is kind of what their money line's looking like. Total was well balanced. Some sharp money on the under, and then the plus 2.5 had about 65% of the money on that. So, this hockey's been interesting because I didn't know. My phone blew up yesterday asking, all these games are graded wrong. Well, apparently we don't include overtime in anything outside of NHL. So with 3 overtime games yesterday and then the 1 women's game this morning, that's why you need to read your sportsbook's rules.
House rules matter. They always come into play. That's fascinating because the rules are crazy. It goes to 3-on-3 and then it goes to shootouts. Unlike when the NHL goes to the playoffs, it's just normal hockey. It's 5-on-5 until somebody scores. So we play regular season rules in the Olympics, which I think is crazy to me. And I didn't know that until yesterday when I was watching Canada and watching their game go to overtime, and then the USA team, obviously their game going to overtime. So what happens when it's tied? It's ruled a 3-way. Like what happens for you guys?
No, so yesterday at 1-1, it's graded as 1-1. So total is 2, whatever the spread is, any plus a half or anything obviously wins, and that's the final score. It's based off what the European leagues are and also the Canadian league. But our rule, and again, it wasn't until an arbor actually said, hey, one side pushed, well, you graded it wrong. So, guy doing arbitrage has ended up on the wrong side of that. Went and sort of pinged the traders, and then someone come in and said, on our rules, it says no overtime included. And sure enough, you go in there and it says literally any league but NHL doesn't include overtime. So I know today they do actually have some small banners on the games just to sort of, repeat it. But yeah, it's, house rules are not as tricky as they used to be. But yeah, there's a lot of variation on different books.
Overall, how would you rate the action on these Olympics over in Milan? Are you guys seeing typical action, more or less than what you normally see?
I think it's actually been decent action. I think really there's, not much else on during the day. They've kind of got their own space. The hockey games, again, been generally good volume. But yeah, it's not like, well, it was a waste of time putting stuff up. There's definitely some good action and some good interest on it.
Tomorrow, we're going to get the semifinals for Team Canada and Team USA. But how has the handle been for the men's Olympic side of things? Because it's kind of foregone conclusion that Canada is going to play the US for the gold medal, but they nearly lost. Both of them nearly got beat yesterday by going to overtime, like you mentioned. Have you seen much action for Team Canada, Team USA, either in the futures market or just on the tournament in general?
Well, in the futures market, they were kind of the top two at the top two, and there wasn't much value in betting of them. There was some sneaky money around on Sweden, sort of leading into it, and then the last week or so. But yeah, tomorrow there's not a lot of action. It's 50-50 overall on the Finland-Canada game. 100% of the master money currently on Finland money line. Let me just check what price they're at there. Oh, they took plus 390 and plus 338, and that's under 3-1 now, looks like in a lot of spots. And then the US-Slovakia game really doesn't have much interest right now.
Interesting. Yeah, it's pretty much going to be they thought. But the Crosby injury is probably why they're jumping in on Finland here, because he is not going to play tomorrow, obviously, but he may not play again for the rest of the Olympics. John Cooper saying that that's day-to-day, but if you watch the injury to Crosby, that was not a good injury for Sidney Crosby. So the pros are taking Finland tomorrow. Okay, not a lot of action on Team USA coming up here for that. If you had to do an Olympic sport in the Winter Games, Adam, is there one you would do?
Curling. I mean, I've talked to the boys. Curling, Jamaican curling team. I just need to get my citizenship. They're already there. I mean, we've got there's rinks up in Saginaw, near the property that we have up there that we've been by and had a look at. So, yeah, I think curling for us is like lawn bowls. I grew up playing lawn bowls, which is a Commonwealth Games sport, not an Olympic sport. But when we watch curling, and I've been betting curling, I think for probably 20 years, like the Tim Horton Classic and all those things in Canada.
Wow.
I love the curling.
So professionally, a league is starting. I think it's next year in America. A professional curling league is starting. So we're actually going to have a league. I don't know if there'll be books putting up lines or not, but there will be United States professional curling that is coming to the United States. So that is it. So when have you been doing curling yourself a lot? Like, is it something you do consistently?
I've never done the physical aspect of it, but whenever the opportunity was, it was a bit like Little League World Series. When it come around, just the numbers were off. We had a couple of customers that seemed to really just know what the right side was to be on, and you'd get on early. And I think at one point it was like $50 limits and stuff like that, and you could hit it like 5 to 10 times and sort of knock it into place. But yeah, I mean, I think these Olympics, those kind of things, you kind of gravitate towards a sport. You think, I think I could do that. And for Olympics, it was always boxing. I just always thought,
oh, yeah, me too.
I think I could box. I think I could, that'd be my Olympic sport. So, but yeah, I think it's a lot of fun. It took a while to sort of understand exactly what they were trying to do. But again, growing up on the lawn bowls aspect of it, it was the same game theory.
So I want to make sure I say this right to my class. So you grew up outside of Melbourne or in Melbourne, right?
Yeah, about 3 hours from Melbourne.
Okay. So I have 2 kids in my class at UNLV who are both from Melbourne, who are exchange students who are over here. And so I showed them a video from you and I talking to Chris Myers back at the Super Bowl. And one of the kids said, I recognize that guy. So I don't know if you've been, this is a 22-year-old kid who is a big Aussie rule guy, but he's like, I think I've seen Adam before. I was like, really? So I'll tell Adam that he's got fans back who are in Australia who are now here doing stuff over here doing broadcasting. And it's funny because they're learning US rules. So I'm letting them broadcast Aussie rules football or Aussie rules. Is it called Aussie rules football or is Aussie rules?
Yeah, Aussie rules.
Okay. So he's calling these games as a sports broadcasting class. So I'm having to learn all the different nuances because you're the first person to tell me that rugby and Aussie rules are totally different. And the kid's like, oh yeah, it's completely different. It's like, but we play rugby too. I'm like, what do you mean you play rugby too? He's like, we play rugby too, but we play Aussie rules. It's like, this is very confusing.
So being 22, he's not from the era where, it's almost like Mexico versus US. Like in Victoria, we played Aussie rules. We didn't have rugby 25, 30 years ago. North of the border, they all played rugby union or rugby league. And then if you went west, it was Aussie rules and whatnot. And then I think it was sort of mid-90s, Melbourne got their own rugby team and ended up winning a championship within the first few years. And then Aussie rules went sort of north of the border to Sydney and Brisbane and stuff like that, and it started to expand. But growing up as a kid, we were an Aussie rules state. That was it. None of that other shit. And if you were north of the border, it was, vice versa.
What makes it, if somebody said, describe the main difference between Aussie rules and rugby, he said Aussie rules is like every sport rolled into one. Is that a fair way of describing it?
Yeah, so I've heard it called aerial ping pong, all kinds of things. If you can sort of revert it back to Gaelic football on the Irish side a little bit.
Okay.
But rugby's more like sort of NFL. You're moving forward, trying to, a bit of a chess game. Whereas Aussie rules is just all over the place, no real direction, action, back and forth, up and down. It's, a very athletic sport.
Are we kicking at the post, at the goalposts? You still do that?
Yeah, so you're trying to kick between the 2 big goalposts, and then the outside 2 goalposts, the smaller ones are worth 1 point. So in the middle is worth 6, and then on the outskirts is worth 1.
Okay, and so when the guy goes like that, when is that Aussie rules?
So yes, and that's a goal. That's 6 points, and the ball goes back to the middle and starts again.
Okay, so I know I've seen it. I just don't know the rules. I always thought Aussie rules and rugby were the same thing. And he was like, no, it's totally different sports. I was like, wait, what? was like, I didn't know that. I was learning something new. So yeah, as I said, he's calling Aussie rules games, and I'm figuring out the terminology from Aussie rules by listening to the kid broadcast. So it's pretty fun. I want to ask you kind of internationally or from like a 30,000 foot, because you've been betting for a long time, as well as obviously being on the book side of things. When I just did the whole opening line on Adam Silver in the NBA and tanking in the NBA, how big of a problem do you think tanking is? Maybe not just from a BetCris perspective, but your own personal perspective when you're betting NBA games. How big of a problem is tanking to you?
For me, it's no problem at all. It's part of the game. It's part of the information. It's part of gauging what time of the year it is, when it's going to happen, which teams are trying to get that first draft pick, all those kind of things. I don't know in what world sportsbooks are out there complaining about this. That just feels like absolute insanity. As a bettor, and especially once live betting started up, watch the players that are on the court, understand where the flow is. And that's kind of one of the big advantages is when all these models are driven by data, and a lot of these sports books don't have traders, they just have data and then babysitters watching the data. Then when shit like this happens, it all falls apart and they get destroyed. For me, that's just part of the game, no matter what side of the counter you're on.
That's how I read it. I read it as that, well, the professionals are faster to the window than we are, and they see it before we see it. And thus we're getting our clocks cleaned by professionals or syndicates or people that are paying attention very closely. And we don't like that. So you need to stop that. So we stop getting killed.
So do a better job. I mean, it's plain and simple. You have the juice on your side. You have the edge. If you let them bet, then take their bet, move the line, take the bet, move the like. It's all information for both sides. Hire better people, hire traders that actually know how a game should flow. And when the data machine just isn't going to work because of who's sitting on the bench, who's the starting, it's madness.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I read it and I thought to myself, I don't know. I've always been a big separation of church and state. Like, you do your game, let the books do the books thing. Stop trying to cross streams with all of this, because we're getting into a situation where the politicians start paying attention, and we don't want that. So we don't want government intervention in all of this. But I mean, tanking, you just said it. It's part of the information, part of the handicap that you go into. Does insider information worry you at all, that somebody may know ahead of time that that's going to happen, and thus they're able to get to a better number?
Someone always knows. It doesn't matter what it is. Someone always knows. And that's, again, part of taking bets from everybody, understanding who's potentially got that information, what the flow is. Skillful traders being able to identify that, all right, this is just weird. Either take it off the board for a little bit and just see what happens when it settles, or just run with the money. And then maybe you get the arbitrages on the other side, understanding that you're heading the right direction and you're capturing money that's on the wrong side potentially. But this is just the way that sportsbooks, entertainment, gambling operations, whatever, they've just gotten lazy, and they just expect the data to do all the work, pay people minimum wage just to watch the machine do the job. Well, bad luck. I mean, that's where you pay the piper and, hire better people, do a better job.
And you get stuck once in a while. To the NBA for the second half of the season, I'm always curious about, there's this live betting component to the NBA that I take advantage of, that a ton of people will take advantage of. How much action are you guys seeing in the live market? Because, there are some books that are claiming that they thought it would be further along than it is right now for NBA live wagering. They think it'll get there, but it's not as mature as they thought it would be here in 2026. What's the live market look like NBA wise for you guys?
It's majority of the volume now. I mean,
Wow.
it's most of that. I mean, NFL and college football are kind of the ones that are sort of behind it. The rest of the sports are all over 50%, all the way up to tennis, where it's closer to 90. But it's been happening for some time. So anyone that's sort of seeing more pre-game than live just either isn't taking any action or, isn't a great product or whatnot. I don't know what that'd be, but it's all moved where live betting is just getting a hell of a lot more action these days.
Do you guys have the same limits pre and in game for NBA? Is it case by case basis?
So pre is usually higher. but then timeouts is somewhere in between. I mean, we're not really big on the ball in air. Timeouts, quarters, all those kind of things, limits will get pumped up. Ball in air, small limits, wider margins, come and chip away at it. But as soon as that timeout, and we've automated all of this stuff, where once there's a timeout, once a game stops, limits go up, margins come in, and that's where, 80 to 85% of the action is in the timeouts and the stoppages.
Is that because of you guys are protecting against getting court-sided, that somebody's going to be ahead of the feed and they may be sitting there watching the game live?
There's some court-siding. There's still some data latency just naturally. There's all those kind of things, but the number's not, real sharp when the ball's up in the air or there's certain things happen. So there's just no point. And then majority of people are really watching the game. And then when there's a timeout or a stoppage or an ad break, then they go back to their phone and then look to see what the odds are and place most of their wagers there.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I recommend people doing all the time, because of the latency on your broadcasting. We talked about it on the show. I don't know if you saw the latency for the Super Bowl, but there were some YouTube TV, depending upon what you were watching or I was watching, there was up to 126-second difference between what somebody was watching in one part of the country versus the other part of the country. That's 2 minutes. Like that's insane from a different, how different things will be from a latency standpoint. So
yeah, and that's been a struggle with people trying to do the streaming with the odds where they have it on the UI where you can sort of see it, is that there's a latency issue there. So you're seeing the odds move before the games. And that's where ultimately a true live product, when the data and the images are working together, is ultimately where you try and get to. There's a few sports, like I think horse racing's kind of got it down a little bit where it's close to zero latency.
Wow.
Our traders do get an NFL zero latency feed to be able to trade the games and things like that. But to try and push that to the public through, the bandwidth and everything it's a very, very expensive exercise.
Yeah, and hard to do with just from the internet, the internet situation. It's hard to do streaming wise. And right now it's impossible. The numbers are wild with how long. I mean, it was up to a minute or a minute and a half for some of these platforms when they had the Super Bowl from a latency standpoint, and that's incredible. Like that's betting into a completely dead market if you're betting 90 seconds behind. So, I'm curious about your pros and your master money for the NBA in the futures market. Is there anybody that really is a bad result for you guys that the pros took big shots on?
So our worst result is Golden State Warriors, which looking at their odds doesn't seem too dangerous.
Yeah. You're good.
Cleveland Cavaliers look like the ones that worst case master chart and probably our second biggest loser after Golden State there. And then San Antonio Spurs is another one that's a loser, that is a small loser to the Masters for the overall title there.
That's what I was wondering about, because it seems like there's no value in OKC. And so you'd go to the second option, which is the Thunder. And the Thunder have now gone and won, I think, 3 or 4 games straight up against the Thunder when they've played. So if that's the Western Conference final, that could be interesting. Anybody recently buy my Celtics? Anybody taking shots on Boston?
No, Celtics look like comfortable winners for us right now. Not the full amount, but they're still a healthy winner for us.
If Tatum plays, it's gonna. We'll see if Tatum, if those numbers adjust with how Tatum comes in. Same question for college basketball as we get into late February. Anybody that the pros took big shots on preseason?
Michigan's our worst result by far. Absolute standout on that side of it. Not so much, just overall, big bad result. On the master side, there is a bit of action, but overall there hasn't been a ton of it. The one that stands out from the Masters side is probably Illinois, and Florida have some action there.
Yeah. Okay. That preseason is where I almost took Florida preseason too. And then I'm glad that I didn't, because they've been so inconsistent. They're playing better of late. Michigan and Duke is coming up this weekend. Obviously there's not a lineup yet. It's only Thursday, but what are you anticipating from here? We are, there's no football and you have 1 versus 3 in college basketball. It feels like that's going to be the biggest game of the weekend. No?
I think absolutely. And I did see something pop up with Michigan 2.5.
Okay.
So I imagine that's what it's looking like as maybe an opener, but again, it's a few days away, so it may adjust.
Yeah. Do you follow much given where, do you follow Michigan basketball at all?
Only bits and pieces. Michigan State, Michigan. There's always sort of that conversation, and you can see the number plates there. Some is the blue and gold, and some is the green.
Yeah.
But yeah, little bits and pieces. I've sort of have followed them, but yeah, usually college basketball I start really following once it gets to the conference tournaments, and then the futures start popping up. Unless I sort of see a team go on a run or some headline sort of early in the year where I'm hunting around for futures. There's just so much on during the course of that I usually just get involved in March Madness. And then my favorite one is always round 2 in March Madness. I just think watching all those round 1 games, the books are just running off data and they really don't see how that plays out.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, because you have round 1 games, you're talking about 64 games, and then you go to 32 games, just drinking out of a fire hose. So you're just throwing numbers up, just like trying to find something just to get action going. So yeah, I like that a lot too. Yeah, I think you're going to be in trouble with Michigan. I haven't bought a ticket on it. There's no value at the moment, but it may just be a buy a money line and roll it over through the whole tournament. But
yep.
They're really impressive. I mean, they're huge. They rebound, they shoot. They look like the best team in the country. And if they beat Duke on Saturday, there will be no value on Michigan because everybody will be betting Michigan to win the championship if they beat Duke soundly coming up on Saturday.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. Adam, great to see you, man. Thank you for the time. Appreciate it. Enjoy the weather in Costa Rica. We'll catch up next week. All right.
All right, you enjoy yours in Orlando when you get the chance.
That's right. Tomorrow morning. Take care, man.
Right,
Adam
later.
Bjorn joining us here on the Bostonian versus the Book, as he does every Thursday. BetCris Arizona, obviously our relationship phenomenal with those guys, the title sponsor of BvB. I love what Adam says because Adam speaks the way, he speaks the language of this show. It's why it's fit so well with him being a part of the show now and coming in and doing different stuff with us, and BetCris being the title sponsor of the show, because it's absolutely the truth. Like, don't cry. Just do a better job. Like, the handicap is the handicap, right? So what goes into tanking or a team that's tanking? Like, you have to do your research. You have to look and see what the potential is. It's the prop market that really is the one that people are complaining about. And Adam has BetCris obviously has lots of props to bet on, but they're not looking for that to be the number one driver. He's talking about in-game being gigantic for them. So, really cool things. Thank you, Sonic, for the update on Team USA. 0-0 after 1. Okay. US power play. End of 1. 14 seconds to the end of the first. Okay, so it's almost there. Yeah, Illinois versus Michigan, also a huge game. Sure, completely. So you saw the pros. The pros have taken action. The worst result right now is Michigan to win it all. If I was to pick a team right now, it would be Michigan. I had that performance against Purdue cinched it for me. I mean, I'd watched Michigan most of the year, but what they did at Mackey to Purdue, my gosh, like I hadn't seen anyone have that happen before on that. Kumquat, what's up, my friend? Thank you for that. I appreciate that. Popping in and say hi. Watch the replay tonight. Just want to say thank you. Keep doing the show. Enjoy your well-earned reset. Have a wonderful weekend, Brigade. Thank you for that, man. I appreciate the super chat. That's really nice of you to come in here and do that. Nice of you to jump in here on that. So, let's do this. Let's talk about what happened with Canada yesterday, because there's a lot to get into. So if you're a Penguins fan, how you feeling right now? Like, Crosby getting hurt. It's the worst case scenario. Like, Canada winning. Okay, like, great. So Team Canada wins 4-3 over Czechia. And now Canada has to go into a semifinal game against Finland. And you heard what Adam said. The pros are taking Finland to win this game. And it has a lot to do with the fact that Crosby's injury didn't look good. When your knee goes in that direction, that is not a good situation. All right. You don't want the knee to bend like that. And so now The Penguins don't know. John Cooper, who is the coach of Team Canada in the Lightning, says that day-to-day means day-to-day. He is not ruling out Crosby for the rest of the tournament, but come on. Like, Crosby's not playing the rest of the tournament. How would you justify playing Crosby if you're the Penguins, or even if you're Sidney Crosby? I get it. This means everything to Canada. This is the most important thing from a Team Canada perspective. Olympic gold is in some ways bigger than the Stanley Cup. But you can't play Crosby after he has a lower body injury and he can't put weight on the leg. You can't play him. Like, you just can't play him. JPC betting the Penguins to miss the playoffs at plus 250. It's not a bad bet. It's not a bad bet if things really go south. It looked like a pretty significant knee injury for Crosby. I didn't see it until John Kincaid on the show yesterday from Philadelphia said, "You didn't see the Crosby injury?" I said, "No, I didn't see the Crosby injury." He was like, "It didn't look good. It looked bad." And it did look bad. When I went back and watched it, it did look bad. Him walking off the ice, not being able to put any weight on it, looked bad. I don't know what you do if you're Canada. Even if Crosby wants to play, I'm not playing Crosby. Can't play him. Team USA with an unbelievable win. Quinn Hughes, what a shot. But how dumb is it that we play 3-on-3 in overtime? Like, it's just dumb. It's Olympic hockey. Like, if you want to play 3-on-3 in the knockout, or in the preliminary rounds rather, fine. But the second you go to the knockout round, you got to play 5-on-5 until somebody scores. Like, what are we doing? Like, and they do shootouts like it's an October game in the NHL. What are we doing? Like, I don't understand that makes I guess November game, because they play late October, but November game for the NHL. Like, what are we doing? I don't understand that at all. But Team USA survived. The goal they gave up, the one-timer when they pulled the goaltender, when they pulled Markstrom and Sweden was able to score, I thought, oh no. Like, it was 1-0. Team USA had so many chances. They couldn't capitalize. Markstrom was dropping down to the ice on every shot. Like, he was just basically daring the Americans lift the puck. And then they finally did on that Quinn Hughes shot as he was going to his left and he shot to his right, and really a difficult puck to stop for Markstrom over his left pad into the back of the net, off the goalpost and in. So huge win. Any thoughts on USA Hockey Ladies live? Well, I'm on the puck line. So I took Team USA -1.5. So let's see if I'll pull up a live number for you guys on this, because I do think there's some opportunities here. Let's see. Okay, so Team USA, I laid 170 on the puck line. You can get it at basically -105 or even money right now, depending on the book, for Team USA. The total is down to 3.5. So you heard Adam Bjorn talk about the sharp. And so we're at 3.5. It's juiced to the under. So I'm going to need a 2-0 victory, but nobody has scored on Team USA. They've outscored their opponents 31-1 here in this tournament. They have 5 shutouts. So this could be number 6 for them to shut out Canada, which wouldn't be that surprising given the way the Americans have played defensively. The question is going to be will America score multiple goals? If they go up 1-0, pulling the goaltender, open net goal, 2-0 is going to have to do for me. That's what I'm going to have to get, it looks like. We got 2 periods left, so I'm not sweating it too hard with the puck line, but I did pay some pretty heavy juice at -170. In fact, what's crazy, FanDuel last night was at, I couldn't believe this price, -1.5 goals. So the puck line was at -290 for the American women. In Vegas, it was -170. That's a $1.20 difference in price for the same bet. That is wildly inconsistent from a pricing perspective. The books really don't know how to price this tournament, in particular with the women, have no idea how to price this thing. So I took minus 170. The under clearly looks like the side, but I would bet it. I mean, I don't mind it. It's minus 330 for the Americans on the money line, but puck line is minus 102, minus 105. I don't mind that bet at all. Take the Americans on the puck line for a much better price than when I got it, because I got it at minus 170 last night. So Alabama and Arkansas, barn burner. I laid 3.5 with Alabama. It doesn't cash because the Crimson Tide win by 2 in double overtime. Hell of a game. Two teams that I think could go deep in March. The over was clearly the bet. It was 182 was the total for that game. It flew over. Alabama hit a ton of big threes, but they just couldn't get separation from Arkansas. And there was some interesting refereeing going on in that game, but a big win for the Crimson Tide to win. And Arkansas, they've got a couple of really talented freshmen and really talented players. You know, it's a, really big situation on all of this. So Alabama wins, Arkansas covers. The SEC tournament is going to be a lot of fun. How about the Creighton Blue Jays? They did it again. Coach McDermott again against Coach Hurley. The Creighton Blue Jays knock off number 5 UConn at home in dominant fashion, like dominated UConn last night. It was crazy. The fact that Coach McDermott is 10-5 against Hurley is wild. Like, it's just two coaches when they go up against each other. Mac owns Hurley. And that's why Hurley got into fights with Creighton fans in Omaha. But what a performance by the Creighton Blue Jays. And Josh Dix's mother passing away and having a situation where the whole team went to the funeral. They played 2 games before they went to UConn after the passing of Josh's mom. But Coach McDermott was choked up last night in the post game, in the press conference, in the locker room addressing his team. Kyle Korver, who is one of, if Doug McDermott is the greatest Blue Jay of all time, Kyle Korver is number 2. And Kyle Korver is a man who I have a tremendous amount of respect for who he is, for what his family has represented. I had no idea. I knew nothing about Pella, Iowa before I met the Korvers. And Clayton Korver and Kyle Korver, just an incredible family and really nice, wholesome people who could damn shoot a rock. Best shooting basketball family I've ever seen. And Korver went on to a very long career in the NBA. Now, I forget, with the Hawks, I think. Front office with the Hawks, I think Korver is with. But it was so cool to see Korver, to Kyle, address the team. I was really moved last night. That was a super special moment for the Creighton Blue Jays. And the numbers are crazy. The Jays were 17-point dogs last night, in stores against UConn. UConn is now 39-0 at home against unranked. That should be unranked, not ranked. That should be unranked opponents. Sorry, that changes that stat. Unranked opponents. Under Hurley. They're 0-2 against Creighton. They've lost 2 times when the Jays are not ranked. They're at home. They beat everyone except the Blue Jays. That's wild. That is absolutely crazy. Huge win for the Blue Jays. Huge win for the program, Coach McDermott, and also for Josh Dix, who played incredibly well. 21 points for him. He has had a very up and down season, but with his mom and everything else going on, you can understand why the kid was not as focused as you would like him to be. He's got bigger issues and bigger things going on. So really special night last night in Storrs, Connecticut for the Creighton Blue Jays with a big time win. Let's talk about our favorite topic on this show. Maybe not. Prediction markets and the news of the industry. So we have to ask ourselves this question. What do we want to be able to bet on, and what do we not want to be bet on? At the front of my list at the very top of my list of things I think should be made illegal to take bets on, prediction markets included, is a politician's speech. We shouldn't be betting on this. There's just certain things that I find betting on elections is bad enough. And I'm not really a big proponent on betting on elections. I just know that the handle is obscene. I'm okay with a presidential election being bet on. I'm not really okay with like a governor race or a state senate race. Like I'm not comfortable with that. It's too, not that you can fix it, but it just doesn't look right in my mind. Presidential is millions and millions of people being involved in the liquidity of it over 4 years. I'm cool with betting on a presidential election. But dang, this was wild to watch. In Connecticut, the government state of the state address, $150,000 was bet on Kalshi on what words were to be said by the governor of Connecticut. Not the president, not a State of the Union, not a major speech press conference, just the governor and what words he was going to say, like Trump, immigration, and mental health. People were betting on what words he would say during the speech. This just feels, and $150,000 is not a lot of money. Okay. It's on, from a wagering standpoint, I mean, that's not a lot of money, right? I mean, Kalshi takes way bigger markets. This was a tiny result compared to what we have seen for the Super Bowl and the songs that Bad Bunny was going to perform or who was going to be there. But this is absolutely right, Chef Benny. The staff could write the speech and then go bet it. The level of insider trading is dumb. It's ridiculous. And governor's staff doesn't make a lot of money. That's true. Go bet your whole life savings. Empty out your bank account on whether or not he's going to say a certain word. Like, when only a couple of people have access, and then you can turn around and bet from that access, you can bet on it and make money off of it. Prediction markets claim that that's good. They claim that that's what you should be doing. That's what makes the market efficient, when you have people who are on the inside, who do know, because they're going to bet one way and then someone's going to bet the opposite. And then that's how the prediction market makes their money, because they take a rake, a cut, a fee of all of the different wagers that are being placed. But a governor's state of the state address, I don't like this. I don't like the insider trading. I don't like the look of it. I don't think this is what we should be taking dollars and bets on. And I think we all need to have a long conversation. So they're saying that fraud's okay. Yes. I mean, Polymarket claims that it's allowed, that it's welcomed. Kalshi does not. Kalshi claims that they do not, due to their house rules, they do not allow insider trading, but Polymarket does. Each individual book, each individual prediction market gets to set their house rules, and house rules matter, but they can welcome it if they're good with it, which goes to the entire question about integrity, the entire question about price fixing, and no one person knowing all the information. And we have seen it in numerous, it's not even like 1 or 2 times now. We've seen it over and over again, where there is somebody who's going like 50-1 for their bets on a certain market, because they're the ones putting it together. Like, they know everything. We're seeing people turn $10,000, into $100,000, and someone betting $500,000, turning that into millions, because they know. It just comes down to what the liquidity is for the player, because they can't lose. They have the answers to the test. They have Biff's almanac. Like, they know what's going to happen. And that's how the prediction marketplace is supposed to exist, according to some. I'm not comfortable with that, because I think you get, basically the public gets taken for a ride because somebody knows. And if somebody has that information already, that's not public information. That's illegal. That's insider trading. But according to some, if you were a Bad Bunny backup dancer and you went through rehearsals and you saw Lady Gaga, and then you went and turned around and bet that Lady Gaga was going to perform, that was perfectly fine, because there was multiple people who were aware. Well, what's that threshold? 10, 20, 50, 100? How many people must be aware of that information before that information is considered to be public or non-insider trading? I don't know. Nor do they. Nor do the CFTC. But I just saw the fact that we're taking bets on the governor of Connecticut, one of the smallest states in the entire union, and we're taking bets on that guy's state of the state address. Nope. Not a fan whatsoever. If you guys are watching on Sports Grid, do us a favor. Come over and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button for our YouTube channel at Boston versus the Book. The show is going to be off tomorrow. There's going to be a best of that you're going to see on Friday night. Mostly some stuff from the Super Bowl that we're going to repurpose for you guys that you can go ahead and watch for the show on replay tomorrow for us. And then we are back live on Wednesday. Or back live on Wednesday, 1 o'clock, but replayed with a new show on Wednesday coming up for us here for BvB. So watching on replay, thank you for being here. Next non-show that is a best of will be Wednesday. For you guys who are with us live, don't move. We have more to come, including bets for tonight and the weekend in bonus time. Sonic just looked at Kalshi. Markets are worded oddly, in my opinion. Example: snow this month in New York available less than 3 inches and less than 6 inches. Does less than 3 inches win in both cases? The answer would be yes. If it snowed 2 inches, you would hit them both. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, these are the markets that are just ridiculous. But, whether they have to have those markets up because that is their entire platform. Their defense to all of this is that prediction markets with weather and the price of product has been in the derivative market for years. Just no one's paid attention to it. No one's cared. Again, I said this on Twitter, but I'll say it again. If we just gave up sports, nobody would care about prediction markets. If we stopped talking about sports gambling, it would all go away. But then so would Kalshi. So take what you want from that. But without sports, there is no controversy. Without the controversy, there is no Kalshi. So, Canada just scored. Not good. Not good. So we're going to need America to rally. Let's see from a live betting perspective. What can you get now? So 1-0 Canada into the first minute of action. You can now bet Team USA minus 1.5 goals at plus 235. Oh, yeah, plus 235. If you want to take 1.5 goals for Canada, that's minus 355 in the live market. The total now is 4.5. So that's good news for me in terms of the puck line. But that's going to wake up the Americans here. Got to get going. Canada scores 1-0 Canadians here in the gold medal game. That is not what we want for a variety of reasons, for my bankroll and for my nationality, my team on that. Oh, is a shorty on top of that? Goodness gracious. Come on, America. What are we doing? Shorthanded goal. Can't give that up. Let's make some bets. All right, Just the Picks being brought to you by our friends at Betting Pros and the Betting Pros prop bet cheat sheet. You guys can check out all the NBA prop betting action that's available for tonight's games as the NBA comes back. I'm not touching the NBA tonight. Like, not even touching it, not going near it. I got to see how these teams come back from who went to the Bahamas, who went to Belize, who's coming back to play ball. I don't know, but prop bet cheat sheet can help you uncover that based on their algorithm and their 5-star plays. Go and download the Betting Pros app or go to bettingpros.com/props. So I told you I'm on the puck line for Team USA. You can get a hell of a number right now on Team USA on the puck line. If you want to go ahead and jump in on that, that would be winning by 2 goals rather, not by 1. Money line for Team USA is also rounding into form, but we got a lot of hockey left. We got almost the whole second period and the third period for Team USA to get going, but not great. I have bet the Genesis Invitational a bunch of different ways. So what can you do? I bet Max Homa to come in the top 20. I bet Patrick Cantlay to come in the top 10. And I bet Scotty Scheffler to win the tournament. Now, Scotty and Patrick haven't started yet. So both those markets should be available if you want to trail that. Cantlay has come in third and fourth the last 2 years that he's played this. He didn't play it last year because of the wildfires, but he in California has been tremendous. I mean, absolutely tremendous. And so he is a guy I think you can back. If you want to take him to win the tournament, don't hate it. Top 5, don't hate it. Top 10 is what I went with at plus 210 for Cantlay to come in the top 10 with ties. I don't do dead heat bullshit. Okay. So I don't do any of that stuff. So it's with ties plus 210. Now, Scotty Scheffler was unbelievable on Sunday last week, where he shot 9 under par at the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am. He shot 7 under on the par 5s. Now he's going from Pebble Beach up near San Jose down to San Diego to Torrey Pines. But the game's going to travel. And I think you can really look at Scotty Scheffler come in. And they're on top of that, they're in a delay. Thank you, Joel. They're in a weather delay right now. So that's even better. So they have a chance to jump in with that. Yep. Round 1 suspended. Okay. Due to rain. Wow. In San Diego, to give you an idea of the weather pattern happening out here on the West Coast, that is weird to have a rain delay in San Diego. That must be a significant amount of rain that's coming down. But the weather was horrific at Pebble Beach, and Scotty tore it apart. So I would expect Scotty to be right back there. I also think, and there's a couple guys on the course right now. Max Homa has played incredibly well. I have him in the top 20, like I mentioned. I like Tommy Fleetwood. He's currently 1 under through 3. I think he could win this tournament. Jake Knapp is a name to pay attention to. He played really well last week and was kind of just off the leaderboard and played himself, I think, into a good position. And then there's one other guy Jacob Bridgman. Jacob Bridgman has been awesome this year. He's even par through 6. He's been great. And so I don't mind betting on him. You want a flyer on him? I tend to use sort of a grenade type strategy with betting golf. I don't have it's way more profitable to bet a guy to win, right? Bet a guy 80, 70, 60 to 1 to win the tournament pre-flop. But it's a lottery ticket in a lot of ways. I try to look at players that I think will be in contention and then try to make bets like I did with Brian Harman last week, where he pre-flop to come in the top 20 was 4 to 1. I hit that with Brian Harman. I had Colin Morikawa to win the tournament going into Sunday. So that's kind of how I'm going to bet it. I haven't bet a ton of golf over the last couple of years, but I do want to bet more golf this year. I got good at it for a while, and then I was trying to bet it. I didn't bet, the March. I didn't bet the beginning part, February, March, April. I didn't bet that. I jumped in at the Masters, and I was off. I was chasing all year a couple of years ago. I think it was maybe last year, but I haven't bet a lot of golf recently. I want to bet more golf this year and pay more attention to the PGA Tour this year. I think there's some really interesting storylines and players this year, and it has nothing to do with Tiger. But if Tiger plays in the Masters, the whole liquidity of the Masters handle is going to skyrocket, and there's going to be a lot of opportunity, I think, because the numbers are going to be, kind of off a bit when it comes to the public just hammering Tiger. So he hasn't taken, according to him, he has not taken the Masters off the table. He is still trying to come back from that disc surgery. I don't know if he's going to be able to play golf or not. He says it's, day to day, but if he plays, that's great from a betting perspective because the numbers are going to be much more profitable for us to come in and bet. So we'll see how that all plays out, but I'm going to bet more golf this year. So in the future, I'll put it on Wednesday's show. That's more fair to put it on Wednesday's show than to put it on Thursday show when the tournament starts, because we start at 10 o'clock Pacific time, and most often that tournament will have already started on Thursday. So maybe we'll do it on Wednesday. We'll take a look at what we can do for golf. But the Genesis, I like Scotty Scheffler and Patrick Cantlay. Top 10 for both, but top 10 for Patrick It's got a decent price on it, and Scotty to win it 3-1, somewhere in that range for Scotty to win it. So you can jump in with that. Favorite thing about today. All right, favorite thing about today, know that the show is going to be off for a couple of days. This is the reset, recharge. I'm shutting down everything. I have to tape the Daily Juice tonight, and then I won't be doing content, shutting it all down. So if you guys have any recommendation, if you guys have any Orlando tips, go ahead and let me know. I've never been to Epic Universal, never been to Universal. We're doing Epic on Saturday. We're doing Discovery Cove on Sunday, and we're doing Universal, the main Universal Studios, on Monday. And Tuesday, I'm not sure. I come back Tuesday night. Wednesday's show will be live. I'll recap the entire thing. I'm going to be a zombie, just FYI. It's 4 days of just nonstop go, go, go. The weather for Saturday, Sunday is going to be great. Monday is going to be not so great, but it's at a theme park. So 60 degrees at a theme park is not horrible. And then Tuesday, I don't know what we're doing on Tuesday. We got to figure out whatever we're going to do on Tuesday before we fly back to Vegas. I have always wanted to go here. Like I told the story yesterday, but growing up where I grew up, I was growing up in a very rich town. I did not have rich parents. And my mom was 18 when she had me. My dad was 20, and I was the oldest. And so we didn't do the Florida vacation the way that everybody else in New England and the Northeast all do. This is spring break for the folks up in New Hampshire, New England, Mass is next week, I think. But then Maine, I think, is this week. So there's going to be a lot of Northerners, a lot of pale white people like me heading on down trying to get some sunshine out of Florida. But I never did that. And so getting to take Madeline and to do this is really exciting. And I'm super pumped to do it. She's now very much into going on roller coasters. I am not so much into roller coasters. But when we ended up, when I went to Disney with Maddie in October, it was only a month after my surgery. And so my shoulder, forget it. There was no way. So I knew we were going here for February. And I said, look, I will go on any ride you want me to go on when we go to Florida. And my daughter is sort of holding me to that. And so there's 2 roller coasters that if you've been on it, you got to tell me the truth because it's new. One's new, one's not. But the new one is the Star Coaster, I think it's called. It's the dueling one. That supposedly is insane. And then the Velocicoaster for Universal in Jurassic Park. That's supposedly the most difficult, most insane roller coaster in the world. I'm not sure if that's true or not, but she wants to go on that. I don't know. Odds on post-flight sickness. -150 on the yes. Yeah. I don't want to be that guy that wears a mask on planes. I don't want to be that guy. But I don't know. I might need to. Oh, what's up, Kels? Glad to see you. Good to see you. That's good. Little Consig loves Universal. Sweet. Yeah, I've never. We're going to Epic first, so we're doing the whole thing. Okay. Velocicoaster gave me a run for my money. Love the roller coaster. I don't know, man. On Monday, I don't know how. I told her I'd go on whatever she wanted to go on. So if I got to go on that, yikes. Yikes on that. Thank you, Joel. When you think it's over, it's not. Please get a picture of the coaster dual racers. Okay. When you think it's over, it's not. Okay, good to know. I've watched enough video on this to kind of have an idea of what I'm getting myself into on Saturday. I'm really excited for the Harry Potter stuff. I think it's gonna be really fun. The Harry Potter ride, the wizard, the world of wizardry, whatever it's called. But I don't know what to expect for Universal, big Universal. I don't know what to expect. So the Marvel universe, I'm cool with going on the Marvel campus. We did that in Disneyland a bit, so I'm cool doing that on Universal. That's going to be fun. But I don't know, man. The funniest thing is the last time we went to Disneyland in October, Madeline's favorite part of the entire thing was taking pictures with all of the superheroes. So like she stalked out Iron Man. She was stalking out who else did she stalk out? Like we missed Spider-Man, but like that was like what she was so excited about, was doing that. Get her a Harry Potter wand. Yep. We'll do all that stuff. We'll do all the things like that. But I don't know. It all kind of like caught up with me. I've been going so fast we had San Francisco, we had New Orleans, and then San Francisco, and then like got back and got our feet back underneath us. And like, oh, by the way, we're going here. We're going on this trip. So it's been just an absolute whirlwind 2 months. This is the 5th and 6th flight I would take in the first 7 weeks of the year. So I've been going all over the place, but I'm really excited to see what Madeline's experience is going to be, because I never did this as a kid. I never could do this. And so to take her at 11 years old, to take her to something like this is going to be really a lot of fun. So no show tomorrow, no show Monday, no show Tuesday, no daily juice either. If you're a daily juice, this is a complete vacation. This is not like a quasi when Matt works on vacation. There's none of that. I'm completely shutting off everything and trying to have a really fun time. So wear the mask. I might need to, I don't know. Maybe on the way home, maybe not the way there, because it's Vegas people, and Vegas people aren't as sick as the people who are coming back, but coming back, I don't know. I might have to go ahead and do that. I know people that literally are like germaphobes that would 100% wear masks and like wipe everything down and everything else. Yeah. Adam can buy the plane. I'm not there yet. Adam can buy the plane. He flies way more than I do though. I took 6 flights in the last 7 weeks. He took 6 flights last week, literally. So that guy flies a lot more than I do, but off for the next couple of days. I will talk to you live on Wednesday. Have a great weekend. Enjoy it. I will be on social because I'm an addict, so I won't be off my socials too much, but at Sports Talk Matt for at least Twitter X, we'll post some pictures about what we're doing over in Orlando coming up here for me. And then we're back coming up on Wednesday. Thank you to Adam Bjorn and BetCris Arizona for coming on in, sponsoring the program, and more back on Wednesday for the next episode of the Bostonian versus the Book.